And flipping homes, not just for reality TV stars anymore. 49,059 single-family homes and condos were flipped in the first quarter of this year alone. Now, that's according to real estate tracker Atom Data Solutions. Flips made up 7.2% of all home sales in that time, up from 6.7% a year earlier. Rodak, founder and CEO of a fund that Flip a startup that helps finance residential home flips, joins us now. You just announced an $11 million financing round from Edison Partners. So what's the future of home flipping? I thought this all went out after the Great Recession. People weren't flipping.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think flipping in 2007 or leading up to 2007 is very different than what flipping looks like today. So an interesting statistic and something that gives us a lot of hope about where this industry goes is the average age of a house right now in the United States is 37 years old, right? So when a house gets that old, it needs a lot of improvement. It needs new kitchens, it needs a new roof, it needs a lot of new mechanicals, right? So the days of carpet down, new paint is over. In fact, on our platform, for every dollar spent in acquisition, another 63 cents is spent on renovation of the property, right? So these are very significant investments that are being made in these homes to really get them back into the standard that's now expected for the modern home buyer.
Matt, so the low interest rate environment is really starting to breathe life into the housing market, and builder sentiment is up. But there's a lot of talk out there about a potential recession that we might face. Sure. In that situation, how does a company like Fund That Flip really survive and weather that storm? Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. It's a question I've been getting since I started the company. What happens in a recession, right? I think everyone suffers a little bit from recency bias with recessions in housing. But if you actually look over the last 50 years, there's been 6 recessions. Housing went down in 2, went up in 2, and stayed flat in 2. Right? So this correlation of recession and housing prices is somewhat of again, it's what we think of what most recently happened, but isn't always true. I think what's more interesting to look at is the underlying fundamentals of the housing market, right? So we've underbuilt 2.5 million homes in the last decade based on what history tells us we should have been building for the number of households that are being formed. So from a supply standpoint, we're actually undersupplied in housing, again, which gives us a lot of a bullish feeling for renovating properties and getting them back into the market.
You started doing this in 2014?
That's right, yep.
Okay, so who are you funding right now? And tell me the average person or people who are coming to you.
Yeah, so we're really focused on, call it the experienced borrower. So these are people that are operating businesses, and their businesses are finding properties or finding land to renovate and to build new properties onto them. So these are really folks that have figured out kind of how to acquire, have figured out how to manage the process of renovating a home, and are looking for a reliable source of capital to help them scale their businesses. So oftentimes they already have maybe some private money or a smaller local lender, and they're looking for someone that has a larger capacity to really lean into their business and help them take their business to the next stage.
Interesting Business Week story last month, Matt, in the issue about young people on the West Coast who were all jazzed to get into home flipping, and they kind of got in just at the wrong time, and it's no longer the quick, easy thing it once was. A lot of them lost their shirts. They profile a couple guys who it did not go well for them. Was that temporary and now things are good again? And I guess I'd also ask, does it tend to be very regional? Geographically, are there areas that are better right now? We had a Manhattan real estate person in here yesterday saying, look, in Manhattan, things are still pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a job and it's a business, and you have to treat it like a business, right? I think the hobbyist is going to have a hard time doing this, right? Because, like I said, 63 cents per dollar on acquisition, it's extensive stuff, and that means you have to understand construction, you have to understand permitting. There's a lot of nuances of this that just have to be understood if you're not going to lose money, which is why we're really focused on that segment of the market of people that do have that experience, have proven the track record, and are now looking to scale things up.
All right, the company is Fund That Flip, and the founder is Matt Rodak. Thank you for being here on
Thanks for having me.